What historical event could be described as a bruh moment? When the CIA seriously considered assassinating Castro via a mollusk filled with explosives. My favorite was when they tried to give him special cigars laced with chemicals that would make his beard fall. And the Cubans would lose respect for the now beardless Fidel Castro and rise up and overthrow him. When Costa Rica attempted to declare war on Germany during World War II, but Germany couldn't even find Costa Rica on the map and nothing happened. Costa Rica declares war. Germany, I don't even know who you are. Sugar plantation owners in Hawaii bringing mongooses to the Hawaiian Islands to deal with rat infestations. Only to realize the mongoose hunts during the day and sleeps at night, while rats are the complete opposite. It was an epic fail. Jeez. Sounds like Australia with the cane toads. They brought them in to eat the cane beetles, but the beetles live several feet up the sugar cane, out of the reach of the toads. Cane toads are now a bigger problem than the beetles ever were. The Ides of March, aka Caesar gets vibe checked by the Roman Senate. F2. Butty. When Alexander Hamilton shot his shot into the air against Aaron Burr. Then Aaron Burr killed Hamilton. I recall reading somewhere that it was generally considered gentlemanly to not actually try to kill your dueling opponent. When Caligula was thought to be on his deathbed, a few senators that basically said "Take me God, not our beloved emperor" to be all dramatic were met by a recovered Caligula so they could explain why they haven't killed themselves yet to finalize the payment. Wasn't he the guy that also declared war on the sea? Or am I thinking of another emperor? The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Franz Ferdinand's death was painful for a lot of other people. Edgar Allan Poe wrote the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, in which 4 survivors of a ship sinking draw straws and decide to eat a guy named Richard Parker in order to survive. Years later, a ship sank and 4 survivors decided they would have to eat one of their number in order to survive. This turned out to be, surprise surprise, a cabin boy named Richard Parker. Poe just happened to write a story that seemed to predict real life events. That, or a novel called The Wreck of the Titan. Or Futility, which was about an ocean liner called Titan hitting an iceberg and sinking. The events of the novel were noted as eerily describing events very close to the real-life sinking of the Titanic. The novel came out over a decade before the real Titanic sunk, and described events such as sinking in April and there not being enough lifeboats. I think he also wrote Eureka, which predicted a bunch of sciencey stuff that was only recently confirmed. When a dude moved a briefcase and it caused Hitler to live. And when he did not have time to put in the last explosive. Jean Bernadotte, in Napoleon's army, being invited to become king of Sweden. Napoleon asking him to never attack France when he's king. Jean being like, "Nah bro, I'ma go full Swede from now on." Louis Napoleon Bonaparte went full Dutch. That was his brother. And he hated the role he had to play. William Henry Harrison having the longest inauguration speech out of any president and then dying a month into his administration. So, on our way back we stopped by Elba. And we picked Napoleon up and brought him back to France. The sailor wheedled, wringing his damp hat in anxious hands. The Duke of Wellington raised his hands to the bridge of his hawkish nose, closed his eyes and sighed deeply. Bruh, he breathed at last. Eli 5. The Venetians holding the Crusaders of the 4th Crusade hostage until they paid more money, having them sack cities like Zara and Constantinople. When the Pope commands you to go fight the Saracens and help out the Byzantines and you ducking sack Constantinople like a boss. That's not India. Christopher. Hey, look, it's the Indians. Bruh, we're Chippewa. Or whatever tribe it was. I'm sorry. Everything Kim Jong-il did when he ruled. A few examples are: he made the entire country quit smoking when his doctors told him he needed to. Or how he made his cabinet take all the same medication he was prescribed because he was afraid of getting addicted alone. YTF, he sound like an insane Karen making her kids suffer with her. Trojan horse. When the CIA implanted listening devices onto a cat to use as a spy just for the cat not to listen and get himself hit by a car on his first field day. CIA should have known cats never listen to humans. They do what they want. The sinking of the Titanic. I dunno. That was probably more blub than brug. When Chiquita, formerly the United Fruit Company, started to control a lot of Latin American countries and even ordered the assassination of many workers because they were in strike. NM Wikipedia org link. Hence the term. Banana Republic if I'm not mistaken. Chernobyl. Facepalms with all three hands. Napoleon entering Moscow. That dude that threw his shoe at George Bush. And he was able to get his other shoe and throw that too before security could get him. When the large business owners attempting to overthrow the US government for a fascist dictatorship chose a super close and loyal general to lead the coup on the president. I may need more context please, I'm intrigued. When the Germans used chlorine gas on the Canadians but the Canadians used wet cloths to get through and attack. Also when Russian combatants were bombarded with a mixture of chlorine and bromine gas by the Germans they continued to attack. Edit. It was chlorine gas not mustard that was used on the Canadians. Thanks friendly commenter. When the Germans who pioneered toxic gas, submarines, and flamethrowers declared shotguns to be inhumane and unfair. Zimmerman telegram from the Germans to the Mexican govt. When the USSR collapsed. When Italy switched sides during the war. Which war lol? They did it twice the slimy pricks. Being on lookout when Hannibal showed up with 500 elephants was probably a big bra moment considering none of those people had ever seen an elephant before or knew what it was. They were probably ducking terrified. The 1808 invasion of Finland by the Tsars. The 1940 invasion of Finland by Stalin. The Opium War. When US news reporters learned about and reported on the Bay of Pigs attack days before it actually ever happened, giving a heads up to the enemy. Glassing Japan 2. Nuclear Boogaloo. America drops the second bomb. Current objective. Survive. Julius Caesar getting stabbed and looking up to see Brutus. Et tu Brutus. King Papi II of Egypt is thought to be the longest reigning monarch. He ruled for 94 years. Keep in mind that most people back then would only live a fraction of that time. Anyway, he outlived all his successors. So, when he died, there was no one to take over. A big power struggle ensued. On top of that, the Nile stopped flooding. Not a fun time. 0/10 would not recommend. His youngest son, on his deathbed, looks upon his healthy father and sighs one final word. Bruh. That guy that single-handedly stopped WW3 by refusing to launch missiles on a submarine. I forget the name of the guy. I think this was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. IDK which one it was. But they lost to a bunch of ducking birds. Edit. It's Australia versus the emus. Australia and the emu war? That John McAfee ran for president just a while after he took over Belize. The guy who made the virus protection thing? When the Library of Alexandria burned up. Abe Lincoln being carried in the streets dripping brain matter to have a graceful death. I'm not American. Where can I read more about this? Never heard this details before. The Winter War 1939 to 1941. Or basically where the Soviet Union got shreked by Finland. Simo Hehe wants to know your location. 7-1. Poland being liberated from the Nazis. By the Soviet Union. The Big Bang. In the beginning the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. The Australians introducing the cane tossed as pest control. The entirety of World War I. Salem witch trials. JFK assassination. When Rommel was stuck behind enemy French lines. Ran over a French division and their tents. Rommel had a motorized division and convinced another French division whom outnumbered him that they were the one behind enemy lines. Speech 100 Sneak 100. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.